Welcome dreamers, happy Friday, welcome back to another video. This Wednesday we had a video where we built an ice lodge. It was kind of like a little resort in the tundra. The tundra's hostile, but you know what, we built a resort there anyways. Today we're gonna do another kind of like resort themed build. Today we're gonna start an estate build. It's gonna be DreamWorld Estates. We'll talk a little bit about the plans for the build, but before we do that, a quick reminder that DreamWorld is available currently in early access. If you go down to the description, you'll find a link to our website where you can get the free trial for DreamWorld, and try the game for yourself. And if you like what you play in the trial and you like what you see in today's video, feel free to purchase the game. Again, link in the description to go check that out. But the estate build. So the plan is to have a two-part build again, another two-parter. We're going to start the actual estate today, and then tomorrow's build video is going to be us finishing the actual mansion part of the estate and then doing the garden area. Before we can do all that stuff, we have to work on the tilling and the building. So let's go and start building our estates in DreamWorld. In terms of materials, there's only going to be a few that I'll need today. To start off, we're going to need some redwood. Redwood is going to be the primary wood I'm going to use for the walls of the build. I don't have that much redwood currently. I've used a lot of it in our fall farm stand build, so I'm going to make sure to farm plenty of that today. Speaking of the fall farm stand, we're going to build this estate kind of near there. And as I was farming this redwood, I was scared by the sound of what I thought was a tree falling, but it was actually a comet, because comets have been added to DreamWorld. At nighttime, comets will fall down from the skies of DreamWorld, and when they impact the ground, you can go up to them and pick up a comet slab. This is quite the sight to see in the sky. However, I did get the absolute daylight scared out of me when I thought that a comet was going to impact my fall farm. Thankfully, it missed it, but whew, that scared me for a second. But as we finish up our redwood farming, we're gonna actually incorporate some pine wood into the build as well. I have just enough of it that I don't actually have to farm it though. So redwood and pine wood. But our third material that we're gonna wanna farm for is red brick. Now, you can't actually farm for red brick, you have to craft it. So to craft it, we need to get plenty of two resources that are in the desert. We have to get plenty of cracked desert mud, and we have to get plenty of desert sand. Cracked desert mud is kind of a darker, a reddish darker color on the grounds of the desert, and then the desert sand is going to be more orange. Digging a bunch of these two resources and then going to a crafting station, you can then craft red brick, which we're going to use for the foundations of the build. Okay, we have plenty of farm now for our build, and we have a location picked out. We're going to use this area in the forest. It's not completely flat, but it's flat enough. So as usual, let's get right to tilling the ground. We want to get a nice and flat area, but not just one nice and flat area, two nice and flat areas. This first area that we're going to till here is actually just going to be the lower part of the build. It's going to be the gardens area. I want to make sure that the build can be nice and big, so we want to have enough room, to actually expand our gardens out. We're going to put multiple things in the gardens. You'll also notice as I'm tilling that I'm going to run into a cave section under the ground. I'll go over how to deal with these later. So about the cave section, so sometimes when you're tilling the ground and digging about DreamWorld, you'll enter a section where all of a sudden you'll dig into an underground cave. This can be a bit tedious because you then have to, figure out how to plug the hole. Well, here's how you can go about it. Basically, you just want to take a shovel out and go against the current ground that you have around you and just slowly add ground using dirt and grass, across the hole. So you want to patch the hole going across it. It's easier to do this than to just, fill the entire cave cavern. I'm basically just going to fill in this section here until the top of the cave is completely sealed and you can't see it anymore. Unfortunately, this means that I'm not going to be able to actually till this section and build on it. Now, what you could do is you could go into the cave itself and then patch the hole from down there, which would maybe allow you to till it. However, when the hole becomes sealed, you're probably going to be stuck in the cave. So only really do that if you have a way that you know you can get out of the cave. All right, now that that hole is patched up as best as we can, we couldn't till it completely well. We're gonna go back and continue tilling this section of the garden. We wanna make sure the area of this garden is gonna be nice and flat, nice and big. I'm gonna make sure to transition between digging up ground on the extra hilly part, the part that's, you know, way above the till area, and then just tilling the flatter parts of the ground that I can just, you know, flatten out super easy. I don't mind doing a little bit of shoveling here because I do need some grass and dirt resources for later builds anyways, especially for the gardens. Okay, this is what we got right now. This is a nice big area that we can expand and make a nice, beautiful garden and add lots of different things. Let's now start the actual foundations of our estate. We're gonna select red brick for the foundational pieces and just use red brick for the foundations and maybe the front porch. For the shape of our foundations, we're gonna wanna go a 6x4 to start the entrance area. And before we build the back of the estate, I want to also create another section of tilled ground behind the foundations we just placed down. This is because that area is very hilly, and I want to make sure that I don't have to have the ground peeking in through the foundational pieces and have, you know, earth inside of the mansion. Plus, it's as simple as I just don't have enough room to make the big build that I'm looking to make. So let's flatten out more land behind these foundational pieces so we can expand a lot easier. All right, that's done. No more tilling. We're completely done with tilling. Let's get back to building the build. We're going to expand the foundations outwards and keep the same square pattern for now of the actual foundations. As we finish the square foundations, we're also going to plan to put some cylindrical rooms on the sides of the build. Now, as you can see here, if we build the cylindrical rooms this way, they're really small. So instead, we're going to use a method where we use both cylindrical foundation pieces 1 and 2 and interchange them next to each other to actually lengthen the foundations of the cylindrical rooms. By mixing these two building assets, we're able to actually make a longer cylindrical, you know, jut out and have another area that's much bigger on the sides of the, you know, square part of the build. We'll make sure to make this completely symmetrical on both sides of our estate. Now for the front porch, we're gonna do a very simple front porch. Just put some red brick stairs going up to the build so you can access it. And then we're gonna do a very simple railing, kind of like a little balcony on the front porch. And to wall off the front porch, we're going to use both window frames and door frames. Now Now for the side walls of this first entrance room, we're gonna get a little bit experimental here. We've shrank and enlarged building pieces in the past to, you know, make different builds, but today we're gonna do it in a way we've never done it before. In DreamWorld, you can take building assets and shrink them down and combine them, you know, with other assets to make interesting looking walls or interesting looking roofs. So we're gonna get a little bit creative with the side walls of this entrance area. We're gonna take these door frames, shrink them down, and just put a bunch of them down to create the wall. This is gonna create a wall that has a lot of holes in it that lets light seep through, and it's gonna feel very breezy and very open, which is what I want. I want this to feel like a front screened-in porch almost. I'm now gonna put a bunch of pillars, you know, on this wall to add a little bit more texture to the wall. It's flat and a little bit bland. I want it to feel more, you know, full. We also want to enclose the wall just a tiny little bit more than it is, so I'm going to use these fence pieces and put them inside of the door frames. This is going to create an interesting pattern for the wall, and that's exactly what we're going for. Okay, we have that wall done. Let's now put some wall pieces next to it where we can kind of signify where the next room is going to be. And we also want to make sure on the other side to make a completely symmetrical wall to the one we just made. So we're just going to go ahead and do the same build that we just did on the other side of the front porch here exactly again. And there we go, our front porch is mostly done, but you can see how the light seeps in through these walls. I think it looks amazing. I now want to go around to the back part of the build and start putting up the walls and doing, you know, maybe even the roofing of the front porch. I'm first going to make sure that these cylindrical rooms that we made are going to be walled off, though. We're going to do cylindrical walls on the first level of the build, and then from there, we're going to build up and put some cylindrical window frames. This way, as you climb up the build, you're going to be able to see out into the forest around you, and hopefully be able to see the garden of the estate. We'll also do the roof of the front porch right now. We're going to use that pine wood we had left over to actually build this part because we're out of red brick right now. After finishing the roof, I'm gonna go back to the back part of the build and start finishing kind of the walls of the first level. Other than the cylindrical rooms, we're just gonna use regular walls to build, you know, the base of the structure. However, on the upper levels, we're gonna make more windows and sights to look out. And you're gonna be able to see those sights in the next part of this build video tomorrow. That's right, folks. Unfortunately, we're out of time today, but thank you so much for watching today's video. If you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe to the channel to watch videos similar to this one. Again, remember to go down to the description if you want to go to DreamWorld's website and get the free trial for the game or purchase it for yourself. And as always, happy Friday. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, dreamers.